Hello guys, welcome to the channel. Nigel here again from Nigel's Modelling Bench, and I've got another review for you. This is the second review today, which is Friday the 25th of October 2019, and yeah, so thought I'd catch up with some of these reviews and get some of these videos out there. I've been quiet lately. I'm sorry, I've been doing some other stuff around the house. I've been working on some resin stuff, some masters, and just basically not really at the bench very much. So this review is of another Ukrainian aircraft, and it is of the Antonov An-124 Ruslan. Only it's not this kit. As big as this one is, you can see this is quite a big box. This is the 144th scale from Revell, as you've seen me review, and I also did a video about buying these kits second hand, and this is actually the second hand one, so I'll put that there out the way. The review I'm doing now is actually this one, which is a little bit bigger. As you can see, I just come back away from the camera a bit to get you in, and I'm almost back. There we go. Can you see it now? There it is. It's big. It's very big. Here's my arm on the top of it, just so you can see just how big it is. And when we look around the box, what we can do, I won't try and do this on camera on the bench, I'll do it here. So what we've got is, on the sides of the box here, this is actually a kit from a company called Modelsvit, and they're a Ukrainian company. It's catalogue number 7201, and you can see here, I'll stand up and get it, and here's some images of the finished model going through there. Now I have actually been in this box and had a look, but I haven't actually really opened anything or had a close look at anything. Okay, there you go. And then on the other side of the box, we've got this. There's no shortage of options available, which is really nice. I won't try and read them out because I can't see them in the camera, but there's the different options that are available in the box. So yeah, really nice to see. And then there's some information about the model itself. Now there we go, and it's 14 plus. So we'll get this on the bench. Now I'm not going to try and get the whole thing under the camera. It's going to be nigh on impossible. So what we're going to have to do is kind of give you a panning view, panning pass, because showing you the fuselage in one lump, not going to be easy. Okay, so here we go. Here's the box. Now you may be asking yourself, why on earth have I bought this kit? Very briefly, as I mentioned before, back in my younger days at Rolls-Royce, saw the Antonov 124 come and pick up a test bed and take it to China, and was really impressed with what I saw. Go back and look at my Revell review, we talk all about it there. But basically, yeah, absolutely amazing airplane. So I've had the Revell one in my stash for many years. For some reason never built it, and then sort of got a bit of an interest in it because of I've got this sort of cargo plane thing going at the moment, which I tend to do. I have these little things going, and then they soon fade away. And looking around for reviews and builds and stuff, I saw somebody did a review of this kit from Russia, I think, maybe Ukrainian. If you're Ukrainian, I'm sorry, but I think it's Russian. And it was a very quick review, nothing very thorough, but I thought, wow, that looks impressive. I wonder if that's available over here. So I started looking around, and I'm going to list it by in order price. I saw it first of all on Amazon for £787, which was quite ridiculous. And then I noticed that Hanant's had it for £442. Hobbylink Japan had it for £433. I could get it from Ukraine for £330 or £360, sorry. Get it in Ukraine for £335 and eBay for £360 as well. And then I noticed that a guy in France had this for under 300. It was about 295. But then eBay were doing a minus 10% thing, so that made it 262. So I thought, from Hanant's retail of 442, that's quite a bargain. So even if I buy it, don't build it, don't like it, whatever, I can probably get my money back if I decide to sell it on. And also, I've never built one of these Eastern European, Ukrainian multimedia kits. I'd fancy doing another one. I must be honest, I've seen some of Phil Fury's reviews. Phil Flory, he did a review of an A model Bison, I think it was, and the fuselage looked, well, yeah. This looks a lot better than that. So this is what we basically get in the box. We've got a bag of, this is the tail planes and the fin, and we've got a nose section here, and they're all made out of fiberglass. We've got quite a big hefty bag of sprues, albeit they're all small sprues. We've got the actual main fuselage itself, which is massive, and then underneath we've got decals and instructions. Now, as I say, I've had a quick look. I haven't had the decals out or the instructions or anything, so you're seeing this for the first time the same as me, so this may not be a very quick review because I'm going to be as interested to see it all as you are. Now, normally I would do instructions first, decals, clear parts, blah blah blah. I'm going to do this as it comes out the bag. So let's first of all look at this fuselage. Now, as I say, I'm going to have to pan this because there's no way I can get it in one shot. But there you go, you can see that there. The actual fuselage itself is massive. If I put that there, and I place next to it my Tamiya extra thin bottles, you can see just how big it is. Okay, now as I say, this has come, it's made of fiberglass, and it comes in two halves already bonded together, and there's a bit of a seam down the middle, as we can see. Now let's have a look at, let's just unwrap one end of it and see what we think. So it's got some sellotape on it there by the look of things. So just cut that away. Okay, so I don't unwrap it too much because I don't know when I'm going to actually get around to building this. But we can see that we've got some very nice surface detail on here. Okay, bearing in mind the size of the thing, it's still a bit sticky from the mold release. It's probably going to need a good wash. And we've got this seam here, which is basically a bit of a gap. So we'll put some 5-minute epoxy or something in there and then sand that back. But they've actually put these together, and I'll tell you what, the match is brilliant. There's no big step there or anything. And then we'll have the same on the underside. As you can see there, we've got the seam. But down inside we get nothing, it's just an empty shell. But being an empty shell helps in a way, because if we want to add to it, we can. If it was a solid lump, like a lump of foam, then it would be a lot more difficult. So it would be easy to add to this kit, which is why I bought the second Revell 1/44 scale kit, so I could use that to dimension off, because I would like to put at least a front, or sorry, at least a rear cargo bay in here and have it down with a truck part behind it or something. But you know, we all have these dreams, don't we? And then we actually getting them to turn into fruition is something else. Now the wings are located with steel rods or metal rods. We've got cutouts here where the plastic parts are going to go, because there's some detail going in there. We've got these large scale cutouts where the undercarriage bays are going to go. We've got our lovely, you can see there, we've got the lovely exhaust for the auxiliary power units, which are all moulded in beautifully. But it is very, very nicely done indeed. Two little pegs there for the fin to sit on. So yeah, all in all, very impressive fuselage. Let's put that over there out of the way. And this is the nose section. I'll get this side wrapped fully. It's kind of like a cling film, but it's thicker than a cling film. I got this on eBay from a company in France. I can't remember what they're called now. The packaging was amazing. So they were quite slow with their delivery. I guess that's the poster company, not them. There we go, we can get this out completely. So you can see it's a very, very thin fiberglass. We can see we've got the fiberglass finish on the inside there. And again, we've got the join in here, like that. And we've got our panel lines in here, which are beautifully done. Very, very nice indeed. And yeah, on the whole, really, really nice. Again, we've got this seam in the middle, and then we've got this hatched area here, which is showing you where you actually cut it out for your clear glazing. And then we've got some raised detail here around the radome or on the front. So yeah, very, very nice indeed. Then we've got some other areas we have to cut out here, but it still smells, it must be pretty fresh. It still smells of fiberglass, but it's very light, very thin, and beautifully made. So I'll get that wrapped back up again later. And we've got our bag here, which has got our tail plane and fin, or tail planes and fin, should I say. And then we've got two metal shafts. There's a steel one and an aluminium one. They're for the wings to go on. And then we've got this fin here. Just get this partially unwrapped so you can see the surface detail again. You know, it's pretty. It's very, very neat from what I can see. It's as good as injection molded plastic from most manufacturers, if you ask me. And the fact that it's so large, I'm glad that it's not injection molded plastic, because it would probably sag everywhere. And I'm also very tempted to get the Anagram C5 Galaxy, but it's 100% resin, and I'm concerned that it's all going to sag and go out of shape and stuff. But you can see here the surface detail on there is really, really nice. There's no rivet detail or anything, which there shouldn't be, but the surface detail is lovely. And unfortunately the rudder detail is not good. That should be deeper in there, I think, but that's, you know, that's something we can play with. So yeah, really, really nice, really, really chuffed. Beautiful seam, beautifully joint. I wonder how they got that together actually, because it is hollow. But yeah, and then we've got the two holes there where it sits over the pegs. You can see that is absolutely huge. It's, you know, it's more than 6 inches long across its base, and it's about 6 inches tall. So you can see the size of that. Massive, massive. And then we've got our tail planes here, which again are wrapped in this thick industrial cling film. And I must say it's quite amazing that it's, you know, it's gone from the Ukraine to France, and then from France to the UK with no damage whatsoever. I can't find the end of that, but there we go. We can see it's going to be the same sort of thing with the same sort of surface detail. Unfortunately, detail for the elevators is a little soft, but that's probably something we could sort with some scribing tools or whatever. Obviously, working with fiberglass, you need to be a little bit careful about breathing it in, and also be careful about getting on your hands. I would suggest putting some barrier cream on, or some hand cream, whatever, just to stop the shards of fiberglass. I actually make fiberglass body parts for cars, so I'm kind of resistant to it now. But I remember in my early days, you know, getting fiberglass dust on my arms and stuff. I had a sleepless night over that, and yeah, I remember sitting in the bath trying to soak it out, and just once you get it in your skin, it ain't coming out for a while. So beware, you have been warned. And that there, I'm not sure if that's a metal rod or if that's moulded in. I'm not going to try and pull it around too much, but that's basically how it's going to fit into the fuselage. We've got those two rods there. So there we go. Let's wrap those back up together like so. So you can go over there and then put those metal shafts back in the bag. That can go out of the way. And then here we've got the wings. So they are huge, and again I'm not going to get them out of the bags, but again we've got lovely markings there. We've got positions for the engine pylons, which is really, really nice, and then we should have, yeah, we've got positions there for all our flap actuator pylons and everything there. And again, covered in surface detail, but surface detail on the flaps and ailerons is very, very soft indeed. So again, bit of work required there. I may actually take a mould of this and then cut these off and make my own flaps and put them in. So, because the thing is, with something this size, you don't want it to just look like a block, you want it to look really, really nice. So we'll see, maybe I'll do something about that. So just put those out the way over there. So we've got this huge bag of plastic there, which I'll open in a minute. And then in here we've got a large bag which has got our instructions and some decal sheets in it. So we'll go through that as well. And then here we've got another little decal sheet. This is the kind of thing you expect to find in a Series 1 Airfix kit. As you can see, it's tiny. this decal sheet is what's that, 14 inches by 21.5. So that's quite some decal sheet. And you can see here we've got all the, I'm upside down, aren't I? We've got all the Volga stuff here, and then there's the different version there, Aeroflot. Not sure what this is all saying here, but basically, yeah, we've got all the major decals there, and they look quite thin, a little glossy. I just hope and pray they go down well, because, you know, with decals this size, maybe because you've got so many versions, it's probably good idea if you are going to build this kit is to use some of the decals that you're definitely not going to use on a scrap wing or something. I've got my Buster wing here. Use them on a scrap wing or something and see which setting solutions work best. If it's best to use hot water, cold water, swab them down with a hot cloth or a cotton rag, or, you know, and do some trials, because you have got a lot of options. There's a lot of spare decals, so if you're not going to use them all, probably best to you know, to use some spare ones first to see just how they go down. I can't see any manufacturer's name or anything on here. They've got Modelsvit, so I'm assuming they're their own. Yeah, I'm going to put these back in the box face down to prevent them becoming damaged. Okay, so these are our plastic sprues, and there's many of them in this large resealable Ziploc bag. So we've got 3 bags there. We've got a bag of engine parts there, and then we've got a bag of undercarriage parts here. So we'll get this bag out of the way and we'll go through these bit by bit. Right, so first bag is obviously going to be a lot of repeat sprues in here. So to be honest, I've had these out before and I've made some molds from them. There's a part come off the sprue there, that's one of our little tail cones. So we've got 4 of those, 4 of those, and 4 of those. So these are basically our engine sprues. So we'll look at them one at a time. And here we've got our fans. So this is the first stage compressor fan, and then this is the back of that, what you see when you look up the back around the actual engine itself into the back of the compressor fans. So that's there, and then this is actually an intermediate part which sits in front of this. As you're looking from the back, this is in front of that. So it's actually in relation to the nose of the aircraft, that sits behind that, and then this goes in the very tail then. And then these vanes all sit around here, like so. So, and as you can see, they're all very, very small sprues. This one is basically, if I keep a rule out, we can see how big things are. So that one's like 140 by 110 mil. I can only imagine that Modelsvit, being a sort of short-run manufacturer, have small moulding machines. Small moulding machines obviously have the benefit of using less floor space. They generally have less tonnage, because they don't need the tonnage because you've got a smaller surface area you're working with, and obviously then your mould tools can also be very small. So I've actually worked with plastic injection moulding machines, and when I was at Arberg back a few years ago, their smallest machine, I think it was called a 25 or something, the actual moulding table was about this big. It was a little vertical moulding machine, and it was perfect for little stuff like this. And it's great because, you know, with the small sprues you get very good repeatability. You don't get one flashy sprue and one really bad, which is what you see with that Revell An-124 kit. You know, some sprues are really nice, some sprues are plastered in flash. Obviously the larger the area, the more surface area you've got, the higher pressure you need to close the mold up, and then obviously with the larger surface area it's much easier. If you've got slightly pressure, you know, your pressure slightly down, it's easy for the plastic to ooze between the molds, thereby giving you flash. So this is why a lot of these companies have these small little mold tools. They're easier to maintain, smaller, cheaper, and yeah, they're just more labor intensive, that's all, because you've got more going on. You know, you're making 4 times as many sprues. So this is the sprue then with this has got the engine intakes in here. So this is actually the front of the engine, then that first stage compressor fan sits on there, and then this is the main engine itself, tail cone there, and you've got that tail cone that sits inside here, so sitting in there like that. And then this is the intake, the nose cone, and unfortunately these are covered in some sinkage from everything because they're actually very thickly molded. So it's a bit unfortunate, but as I mentioned earlier, I am making resin upgrades for these engines, so watch this space. I'll be very shortly doing a video about what I've done for them. And then here, this is the last of the engine sprues, and this is obviously the main outer casing of the engine, and then we've got the rear turbine blades there, and then this is just the section that goes between the rear compressor blades and this part here that sits over there, so that keeps them apart. We'll see that in the instructions in a minute. And then we've got this little fairing part here which goes onto the side of the engine on that hatched area. So yeah, all very nice. What's very interesting here, we've got the Modelsvit logo, but it also has here, there's this other writing here, Master 44. So I'm not sure if this is a subsidiary company that just generally makes engines or something, I don't know. But there's a little bit of distortion in these sprues, and these engine halves need to be opened up slightly because they're actually like that. They need to be opened up to make them round, but then the parts that go inside will help that. So there we go, that's our engine sprues. Right, so now we're into new territory. I haven't looked at any of this, so I'm assuming this is going to be undercarriage bay parts. So again, this lovely Ziploc resealable bag, and I must say they do seal up very tightly. So we're probably going to have mirrored sprues again. So yeah, we've got 2 there which are the same. We've got that one there, we've got those 2 there which are the same, those 2 are the same. Okay, so here we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different sprues for our, this is going to be our undercarriage bays. We can see this one here particularly small. This is probably the undercarriage bay ends. In fact, that definitely is the undercarriage bay ends. And as you can see there on the rule, that's a very small sprue indeed. But it's got some nice surface detail on there, as you can see there. So that's lovely. Then we've got 2 of these. And this, I think this is going to be the webbing in the undercarriage bays, and then these are going to be the actuators for the undercarriage bay doors. So we've got double-sided detail on there. No ejector pin marks to worry about, which is nice. In fact, I'm just looking at it, looks like they don't have any ejector pins at all, which is very interesting. I guess that's another good reason for having small sprues. There are no ejector pin marks anywhere. There are no ejector pins. Just noticed that. So yeah, very cool. So all these actuators have got detail on both sides, as you can see there. They're the arms for the undercarriage doors, and then these bulkheads that go in between the undercarriage bays, again they've got some nice fine detail on them as well. So yeah, and as you can see, it's all a little bit soft. It's, you know, it's like a short run kit, so it's not going to be Tamiya quality. But you could imagine if, you know, if Tamiya made something like this, the price would be astronomical. I'm not saying this is cheap by any stretch of the imagination, but it's certainly not, you know, £260 I paid for this. When you compare this to the HK Lancaster, it's £100, well, it's £140 cheaper. Yeah. So these are the undercarriage doors. We've got two of these. So these are going to be the outer doors, I think, and these are going to be the inner doors. Very oily. They need a good wash. But again, we've got some lovely crisp detail on here and no ejector pin marks. So we've got a little bit of mould cleanup required there, but that's a quick run over with a stick and that'll be done. And we can see the detail on the inside of them is very nice indeed. Okay, and having no ejector pin marks, as I say, is it's a joy. And then we've got two of these here, a little bit flashy on the sprue, but nothing too bad on the parts. And we've got a lot of parts here which look like they're going to be candidates for brass wire, but they're all in one piece. None of them are broken, none of them have snapped, and these are going to be all the little oleos, I think the scissors for the undercarriage legs. And we can see here there's some little bars and handles and pipes or whatever they are. So yeah, a little bit flashy. To be honest, I will probably knock up a little jig and remake those out of brass or copper wire, depending what they are. We'll see in a minute when we look at the instructions. As I say, there's two of those. And then finally we've got this one here, which I'm assuming is going to be the main sort of roof of the undercarriage bay. And that's all, just sort of nothing much on there at all. I think there should be some detail on there which we can easily add. But there we go. So that's our undercarriage sprues taken care of. Now I'm going to put this back in the bag on camera because it's a lot easier to get back in, he says. And there we go. As soon as I turn the camera off, they slipped in as if there was a magnet pulling them in. Okay, so here we go. Staying with the undercarriage. This is our third bag of sprues, and in here we have got 12 sprues. Now if you buy your kits on Sprue Count alone, there were 12 engine sprues, 8 undercarriage bay sprues, and then there's 12 in here. So now we're on, what's that, 24? So now we're on 32 sprues so far. So we've got basically 5 of those there, and then we've got 5 of those there, and then 2 of those there. So let's have a look first at these black ones. So these are obviously going to be the main wheels and tyres. So a little bit concerned about the moulding quality on there. It's not the best, but I could give them a clean up. Maybe if I super detail a couple, then make some resin ones, I don't know. But we've got our wheel detail here. The wheel detail is fairly simple. When you look at the real thing, you'll see that it's actually fairly simple on the real aircraft. There's not like all bolts and bits and pieces. There may be a few bolts down at the bottom which we could look at, but yeah, on the whole they are fairly simple. I'm not aware of any resin aftermarket wheels for this, but I think these could certainly do with a bit of careful assembly and some remedial work. But you can see there, a little bit soft on the moulding. There's no tyre lettering or anything, but on the whole, all good. Then we've got, again, we've got 5 of these sprues, and this is going to be our undercarriage legs. So we've got, this is a bit weird, we've got undercarriage legs here, and then we've got undercarriage legs here which have a little lump on the back, so I'm not sure what's going on there, but they have an axle either side. And then we've got, this is going to be a main support there, which has got a great big sig mark in it, which is unfortunate. And then we've got our actual undercarriage legs there, so they're going to go around that by the look of it. I'm not sure. Oh, they're going to go around there, okay. And then we've got some tiny little actuators here, and then some little pivots there. So I'll give you a close-up. Again, we've got this Master 44. So you can see here some undercarriage legs there, and then we've got a different style of undercarriage leg there. And we've got some arms here. So all in all all a little soft, but you know, it's all there. It's a short run kit, and as I've heard some people say, you know, I'm guilty as anyone of moaning about kit quality, but if you want a 72nd scale An-124, here it is. There's nothing else. And then here we've got our front undercarriage, hair there. Obviously didn't come from me because I don't have any. So we've got wheels here, tyres again here, and then we've got, now again, so this has got the Modelsvit logo on it, not the Master 44, which is a bit strange. And then we've got some tiny little parts here with some quite fine moulding. See in there. So yeah, all very nice, all very crisp. Well, fairly crisp. At least it's not plastered in flash. And there's 2 of those, so that makes 12 of those. So we'll get those back in their bag in 2 lots. Like that, and then we'll put these in on the top. I'm hoping I've got nothing missing here because I'm not sure what Modelsvit would be like with their customer service. I'm sure because they're obviously a fairly smallish company, they're probably quite good. As I say, with my Rodin issue I have with my C5 windscreen, I emailed Rodin twice and didn't even get a reply, so that was a shame. There we go. Certainly that bag's got no spare room in there. So another bag here, so this is going to be, this looks like cockpit parts. In fact, we'll save that. Let's look here, this is going to be some fuselage parts and pylons by the look of things. Oh, bloody. So what have we got in here? We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, well, 6 sprues in here, so that makes it 38 sprues. So we've got 2 there which are the same, 2 there which are the same, and then 2 there which are the same. So we'll slide those up out of the way. Have a look at this one first. This is going to be our pylons for these are the actuators under here for the flaps. Now they're obviously molded in halves, which is nice, and they've actually scribed the part numbers into them, which is pretty cool. So that's nice. Now on here there's a shape, it looks like a sink mark, it's not, it's supposed to be there because they're all the same and they're all even, so that's all pretty cool. In fact, it looks like these moulds have almost been handmade. They are. There's no sort of real machining marks or any like graininess to it. It looks like they're actually handmade. Very nice. Either that or they've been cast from, you know, resin moulded handmade parts. But yeah, the detail on there, you can see there's some scribe lines on there, which is cool. You could always add some more detail if you wanted to. So there's 2 of them. And just to prove there's oil, there we go. There's some oil on there. We've got 2 lots of them. We've got 2 of these. So this is going to be 1 set of engine sprues. Engine pylons, sorry. So obviously the inner and outer engine pylons are going to be different, and then these are going to be the longest of the fairings for the flap actuators. But there's some nice scribe detail on the pylons there, which is nice. And again, if you're going to do this as Russian Air Force, you know, it's going to be a little bit dirty, a little bit grubby. You could use all this to your advantage and put some, you know, some streaks and stuff running from those panel lines. You've got a grill there, you could put some streaks running down from there and have some blown back. So yeah. And then remember I showed you that cutout in the fuselage in the wing leading edge, that's that there. Obviously that could do with hollowing out and making it look a bit more realistic. So yeah, we've got the pylons here. This is another set of pylons, another set of fairings. And here once again we've got the Master 44 and the Modelsvit logo, so it's a bit strange. We'll have to do some research, see what's going on there. And then on the back we've got the numbers graved, and you can see they've been graved in by hand with a little gun. So yeah, very nice indeed, very pleased. So that's those 6 sprues. Get those back in. In fact, that was how they went, like that. These should go back in easily, he says. Okay, so there's another 6 sprues. And then finally, the final bag, it's going to be interesting, is the cockpit. Clear parts there. So no copy sprues here, there's just one of each. So here we've got this is going to be the curtain running behind where the cockpit is, that goes into a galley area, and then I'm guessing this is going to be the side walls of the cockpit here, or side walls of the galley. And then we've got some bulkheads there. This is the instrument panel fairing, instrument panel there. I'm assuming these are seat bases and these are seat backs. So yeah, they go into the back of them. No seat belts or anything, so something to be added there with aftermarket, or you know, some homemade belts. But all in all, you know, fairly nice. It's all there. You're not going to see a lot of it. Seats are covered in sink marks, but hey, nothing too much to worry about there. Then this is going to be the main cockpit floor itself. I'm assuming this is going to be the cockpit roof. I'm assuming, so we'll see. And then this is going to be the end of the galley at the back of the cockpit. That's telling you there, HN, I guess that's forward. I'm assuming that's part of the front undercarriage bay. In fact, that might be what that is. That might be the undercarriage bay roof. And then we've got the other parts here. I'm assuming this is going to be other parts of the undercarriage bay here. And then, as I said, this is the cockpit floor. So yeah, I'm not sure what those little bits there are going to be, but all very nice. I've got this little tiny sprue here, and that looks like the turbines for the APUs, the auxiliary power units, but I'm not sure. And that looks like some sort of little instrument panel, but not sure. And then here we've got sprue of tiny greeblies. We've got some antenna, control columns, landing lights by the look of it, pitot tubes, other little antenna. Not quite sure what that is. And there we go, all very nice. Nice that it's all there, and when it's all on, it's going to really add to it, because it's such a massive model. It needs some fine detail and fine bits and pieces to make it look, you know, so that it's not much like a big toy, especially with it being mainly in white. And then finally, for the plastic, we've got our clear parts here. Now here's our, unfortunately that sprue's got broken, but luckily the parts are fine. And also, great tip for all manufacturers to take when you do your clear parts, put plenty of excess material on there, so that if this did break, it doesn't actually, because when it breaks it kind of splinters, it doesn't splinter into the clear. But we can see here the clear, I'm not sure if it's just greasy or if it's actually a little foggy. I think it's a bit of both. Yeah, it's certainly greasy from the mold release, but probably a dip in the future it'll be absolutely fine. And we'll give it the distortion test. And I'll tell you what, that's not too bad at all. So yeah, your cockpit's, it's going to be well worth putting some belts on those seats as a minimum, because you're going to see all that. Is that a crack there? Oh no, it's a mould line. I thought it was a crack. It's actually a mould line. Phew, that was close. But yeah, there we go. We've got some nice defined areas around the windows there, which will be nice and easy to mask. So that's our main screen, and then we've got our other little landing lights and wingtip lights by the look of it, other bits and pieces. God knows where all they're going to go, but they've probably all got their place. So can put this back in its bag. And I'm going to slip a piece of paper in there. So that we know the canopy, or the glazing should I say, won't get scratched. Maybe that's something Modelsvit should do, just to guarantee that nothing gets broken off of there and comes up and scratches your main screen. So there we go, that's all the plastic sprues. Now let's have a look at these instructions. And what I think, I've just done a count up, we've actually got 44 sprues in this kit. So yeah, in fact, is it 44? Yeah, 44 sprues. So if you're building your kit on sprue count alone, this one's up there. I know some of the trumpeter kits have got a higher sprue count. Yeah, 44 sprues, but many of those are actually copied. So here we've got the instructions, and these are in a bag with just a couple of decal sheets. So we'll pull these out here gently. Wow. So Ziploc bag there. So we'll put our instructions to one side. Decal placement guide here, which is like a book in itself. And then here we've got some decals. So these are the, just keep coming. These are the Volga Dniepr. I hope I'm saying that right. Dniepr, I think it's pronounced, which is the current operator of this aircraft. And here we've got the all their information there. Massive Antonov Design Bureau decals there. We've got the 20 years ones. These go on the bottom of the nose. Got some lovely Soviet stars there, and then some flags, and then we've got Russian flags here, and then these are the, I guess these are the Volga Dniepr logos there, and then we've got some Ukrainian flags there. So yeah, all very nice. And these are made by Decograph, printed by Decograph. So I don't know what they're like, but up there it's got Modelsvit. They feel very similar to that large sheet, so I can only assume that they're all made by Decograph. So that's that one. We've got another one here, which is, oh my god, this is Stencils. Again, this is made by Decograph. An-124 technical inscriptions. So this is going to be some door detail there. I can't see any instrument panel or anything, but we've got the rescue signs here. So we've got all of our decals there for the stenciling. I'll give you a close-up look at these, because you can see there are lots of them, and all these red crosses go on panels. I don't know what they're for, nobody's told me yet, but for some reason these Russian aircraft, they seem to be plastered in these red crosses. We've got all this here, all this stenciling, which is all very nice, and you can see it's all quite legible. Okay, lovely. Another little tiny, oh here we go, this is our instrument panel and everything here. So this is a very small sheet. Okay, got some more door markings there, same as those we saw on the other sheet, but in a different colour. No, they're not, they're exactly the same. So these are actually reserved by the look of it, so you've got spares, which is cool. And you've got these door frames here in a different style, and then you've got reserves here, so they're giving you spare decals, which is really good of them. Quite whether they give you spare decals just of those, I don't know. Maybe they're on a really tricky area. Okay, so that's those. Oh, window masks, how nice of them. Look at that. Nice set of masks for the screen. Wow, that's something I wasn't expecting that. And then here's another fairly large sheet. Again, this has just got the Modelsvit on it. There's nothing about the Decograph, but they feel very similar, so I can only assume they're the same. and this is again has got all the logos on it. If I ever actually build this, I will build it as the Russian Air Force, I think, because the reason being, all of these other operators, they would have kept the air like it is now. It's kept very, very clean, pristine, very crisp. And the problem is with that, when you've got a model this size, you paint it gloss white, it's got silver wings, it could look a little toy-like. So I would rather do it Russian Air Force and have it a bit used and abused, and perhaps, you know, park a couple of dirty old trucks next to it or something. So that's our decals there. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 sheets, and then we've got the main large sheet as I showed you just now, and then we've got our masks there. So we'll get these away, keep those protected. Now here we've got our colour schemes. I've got to make sure I haven't got too much glare here, so let's bring you down a bit, move the light. So we've got, this is our stenciling for all those red crosses I talked about, and there's some yellow bits and pieces as well. So we've got the wings and the belly of the aircraft covered in stencils there. Then we've got more stenciling here on the upper wing surface. Engines are covered in them, and then we've got all up the tail there, and then some more stenciling all over the fuselage. So that's going to be our generic common to all versions. Now these are the colouring schemes. Again, I've got to make sure I haven't got this horrible reflection in the light. Let's try that. So this is the UR 82029 Antonov Design Bureau. So I think this is one of the first, the way it was sort of first depicted, I think. I'm not sure. And we've got all our colour call-outs here in Humbrol. So, you know, you pay your money, take your choice, do your cross-referencing, whatever. That 27004 gunmetal is lovely in Humbrol. Then going over the page here, we've got Volga Dnepr Airlines 82081. We can see this is the one with the 20-year celebration all over it, so it's very bright and colourful. Russian Air Force, this is probably the one I would go for because it's quite dull, and you could actually streak it and make it dirty and stuff and make it look well used. Then we've got another one here which is Russian Air Force. So I'm not sure which one is the more modern one. I'm assuming it's this one is the more modern one. And then this is Aeroflot 82021. And then finally here we've got the Air Ukraine. Ukraine Air, I'm not sure if it's their Air Force or what, if it's their airline. 1993 82066. There were no dates on those Russian Air Force ones, were there? No. I'll have to do some research, but basically I think that's what I like to do with the stars on it. So there we go, guys. That is that. Now, we've looked at the kit, we've looked at all the decals. Now let's have a look at the instructions. Right, I said this was going to be a long review, didn't I? So, lovely little A4 instruction, but printed in colour, no gloss or anything. And as I say, this is the first time I've looked at this. So basically we've got some history of the aircraft there on the front. So if I just bring that in, and then you can freeze frame and read it as you please. So we've got our lovely colour image there, and then we've got our colour call-outs here again in, as I say earlier, in the Humbrol. And then we've got, these are the symbols used, as you can see there. I can tell that there in Ukrainian means use symbols. I've learnt Ukrainian, see. And then it's telling you super glue, and these are all the different parts of the legend you're going to use to build your model. And then going over, open up the book, we got our sprue call-outs, which are all sort of done as a very, very nicely shaded drawing kind of thing. And as I say, they're all numbered, which is nice, because I don't remember seeing on the sprues, I don't remember seeing numbers on the parts. No. So when we look at the parts themselves, like for instance, where's this one here? There we go. So when we look at these parts themselves, trust me to pick up one that doesn't have it on. here we go. There's no numbers on the sprues for what the parts are. You can see this one is that one there, that one there. There's no numbers on the parts, so it's good to have these numbers to cross-reference if you're unsure of which side's which. Then I noticed on a lot of the parts they've actually got it engraved on the part itself. So there we go. That's those 550 details for assembly of one model. I've never seen that before. And I've noticed that Modelsvit are about to release the An-124 in 1/72 scale as well. In fact, if they're watching this, maybe they'd like to send me one for a review, eh? Doubt it. But I noticed it's got 900 odd parts, so it's got nearly double the parts count of this. So maybe it's got some interior detail. And here's all our cockpit sprues and bits and pieces, and our metal rods here. Diameter 8, diameter 5, undercarriage parts, and then there are fiberglass parts there. So here we go, page 6 should take us into the assembly. Yep, and we've got our call-outs for our decal sheets here, 5 decals for 6 versions. So we're going to know we've got all that in place. So it's telling us here to glue the seats together, and then the cockpit assembly goes together, and we've got all our colour call-outs here, and it's given us a dimension where the instrument panel should be. By the look of it, or is that where the front of the seat should be? I don't know. We'll see that when we build it. And this is the detail, the sidewall of the cockpit. And interestingly, they've added detail to the outside of here. So if you wanted to actually do it with the nose up, although you don't have the option to do that in the kit, you have actually got the option of having that exposed without having to do too much scratch building. And then finishing off the cockpit there with the rear galley and everything as well. So you've got the pilot sitting up front, the 2 pilots, and then back here you've got 4. You've got a radio operator, navigator, and I think there's 2 flight engineers sitting back in there. There's lots of cockpit videos of this aircraft to see on YouTube. They are well worth watching because it really is something else to watch these guys working to get this thing in the air. And the thing that amazes me, when you see this aircraft flying, it's not like you've got this captain and co-pilot that come along and come up with their hats and suits and go and get in and just fly off. These guys are in like jeans and t-shirts, and they're out there taking the wheel chocks out in the pouring rain, and the next thing you know, they're jumping in the captain's seat. Quite incredible to see. They are proper crews. So engine assemblies going on here, and as I said, I showed you all the assembly here as it goes together. And I've remade all this in resin, and once I'm there I'll show you what I've done. I've also remade all this end here. So here we go, pylons going in here. So you've got the landing light. They give you the choice of having it actually open or up, so that's pretty cool. Adding on the pylons, there's a little tube there, I'm not sure what that's for. And then starting our undercarriage bays. So we've got a main undercarriage bay assembly going together there. So that's one side, that's the other. And then we're going to build up our undercarriage legs. So that doesn't go around anything. I thought that would have gone around something. Yes, it does. It goes around that tube. So maybe remake that in metal, I don't know. Or put some metal up inside it. Apparently the undercarriage is fairly weak and needs strengthening. I've seen there's one guy, if you go to the Modelsvit website, or the Modelsvit supplier from Bulgaria, they have a link to an online build, and the guy has actually placed, he's actually an English guy I think, he's actually placed the model on a clear perspex stand, so the weight is taken off the undercarriage legs. So got the nose gear there, and obviously you'll have the option, I would imagine, to have your, that's not nose gear at all, what am I talking about, shut up, that is just one gear assembly there, and obviously you've got 5 of them going through. Then we're going to add all our actuators here. I think there's some errors in the numbers here, I think they're incorrect. And then there's those little pieces there that hold the gear doors together. So as I say, make up a jig, replace those with wire. Those little bits of plastic are going to take forever to clean up. So putting our wheels together there, this is the nose gear, little steering actuators there going on the front. And then they're going in. Now they aren't giving you the option here to have the nose gear folded out as if it's sort of kneeling down for cargo, but obviously if you wanted to do some scratch building you could. Adding the main gear, adding the windscreen wiper as well, I didn't see them, and then that's the overhead console going in there, and there's a decal to go on there by the look of it. Cutting out the bits and pieces on the nose, assembling the whole thing, and they're telling you here to use super glue, I'm guessing, and then adding in the main nose gear, adding the clear part onto there, and then I'm assuming that that is the natural brake line where the nose brakes when it lifts up. So that's pretty cool. Postman's just been, hopefully my new parts have come, and then all of this is all super glue, I think they're saying, and then these are your tiny little bits and pieces, 3mm diameter, and you're going to add your little tiny clear windows. There's little tiny antenna, little bits and pieces going on, as you can see there, and again on the bottom all these little tiny lights and ports and antenna and God knows what. So really nice. So there we go guys, that is it. This is the Modelsvit An-124 Rustlin, also known as the Condor, catalogue number 7201, and as I say, I got this on eBay from a French company, Brassin Maquette or something they were called, I think, and it was £262, which as opposed to the Hannant's retail of 442 is quite a little bargain. So thanks for watching, I hope you've enjoyed it. I don't know if I'll ever build this, but it's just something I wanted to get my hands on and have a look at because it's so beautiful. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you all soon. I hope you liked this. If you did, give us a thumbs up, and if you didn't like it, give us a thumbs up anyway. And if you want to support the channel, if you want to add to the funds to get a new camera and some better lighting and stuff, then I'll put a link down in the bottom to my PayPal. So thanks for watching again. See you all soon. Bye bye.